And welcome into a Monday edition of the Backstage Pass. Of course, another week, the final one in April. If you guys didn't have a good weekend, well, I did. I actually was out at Whitewater Amphitheater in New Braunfels, Texas. Randall King and Josh Ford to catch them out there. We were guests, and the hospitality suite was pretty good. So it's actually pretty cool to do a show like this that you can enjoy a little bit of a concert out there too. We're presented by our good friends over at JK Subaru of Southeast Texas, and also Toir Guitars and Bangtail Whiskey. Appreciate everything that our sponsors do out there. If you missed it earlier today, just put it out a few minutes ago. The legend, the icon himself, Billy F. Gibbons of the great ZZ Top is out there across the SoundCloud, Spotify, website, digital platforms that we have. And you can go check out the interview right now. But do that later, because right now we want you to tune in here to an up-and-coming top Texas country artist that when I first got her album, I said, man, this was enough. And I'm like, there was not enough songs on the album. I wanted more and more and more. And she's coming to play Irma's Double E Grocery, one of our sponsors out there in October. Miss April N. Smith, how's it going?
I'm great. How are you?
We're doing good. We're doing good today. Like I said, when you start your day off with ZZ Top and Billy Gibbons in the same sentence, you're having a pretty good Monday. That's not
absolutely. I'm totally jealous. And then you said you saw Randall King and Josh Ford this weekend.
Yeah,
totally. I would have loved that.
Tough way to spend the weekend, right? Whitewater Amphitheater, New Braunfels, and Canyon Lake, and right there on the Guadalupe. The only thing I didn't do, April, was I didn't float the river. But now I just
you suffered. You suffered completely. I need
some suffering
in my life for sure.
And this weekend is Nature's Riverfest in Port Neches, Texas. We're going to be out there with the great Roger Krager and Kevin Fowler on Friday. And then this will be cool. May the 8th on a Saturday at the Wildcatter Saloon in Katy, Texas. Saliva comes out there. We had on a couple of weeks ago. Click, Click, Boom. And talked about the album for Saliva, which is every 20 years. But I tell you what, for you, this thing called Texas Country is heating up. This EP is, God, it blows my mind away. In fact, driving from New Braunfels back to Beaumont, I'm playing the songs over and over again. That's how good this is when you go from 1 to 7 on the tracks. I mean, you could have put 15 songs and it would just been awesome. Let's talk about your story before we break down some of the tracks too, because a school teacher, Texarkana, Texas, but also having this dream to become a full-time musician. Tell me how all this came about, because you certainly have the talent for this industry.
Well, thank you. I teach in Mount Pleasant, actually, and as you can tell, I didn't have time to change. I just came from the school, so I just ran home and got on the back porch so I could talk to you real quick. But yes, I've taught third grade. This is my 6th year teaching, and I absolutely love my job, love those kids. I think that it came at the right time in my life. I was a late bloomer as far as a teacher. I did other things in my earlier years and had children, and so I think that teaching was a late in life thing for me, but it was something that I never expected. But it's definitely one that I have been able to fit into and really enjoy. Music, however, has always been a part of my life. I was from a very musical family. A lot of people in my family sing or play instruments, so we were always singing or, writing or sitting around with a guitar playing. And so I think that that's just always been a part of me. I started singing when I was real young in church, like most everybody else, and got a really strong gospel background, but fell in love with country music when I was about 10 years old. And then my grandparents insisted that I go try out for the Gladewater Saturday Night Opry. Mm-hmm. I went thinking that I was going to get to play with my little track and I was going to sing Grandpa and it was going to be okay. And then I walked in and there was this full band sitting there and I was like, oh my gosh, I've never played with a full band behind me. And so I walked up there and I'll never forget, I say this all the time, I'll never forget that rush, the minute that they all started playing, and you get that rush of music and that force behind you. And it was just a feeling that I never wanted to lose. And so I sang all throughout my teenage years and then took some time off to be a mama. I thought it was important that my children had all of my attention. And so I did that. But now I have almost all of them grown. I have a 16-year-old at home, but the other 2 are grown. And so it just presented itself for me to come back into the music business. And I had a lot of things to say. And so here I am saying them.
That's a good way to put it too. And that's the dream, to continue to follow that. And I did when I put this platform out about 2 years ago, and you often question and you wonder and you answer a bunch of questions. You talk to yourself because you yourself are your own worst critic. You either make it happen and knowing nobody's going to do it for you. You got to pretty much put it out there. But tell me a little bit about the musical influences. Who were some of yours growing up?
Oh gosh, growing up, Patsy Cline, of course, was a huge influence on me. The Judds, Reba, those were all ones that Barbara Mandrell. I think I probably could sing "Sleeping Single" in a double bed with the hairbrush at my grandmother's on her coffee table at least 4 times a week. That was a usual thing for me. They were really strong in my life. But then once I started really getting out and performing, I had all those great 90s influences of Martina McBride and Sarah
Hmm.
Evans and Faith Hill that just really kind of shaped and molded what I wanted my voice. I don't necessarily say I patterned myself after them because I want to be unique, but I do have a lot of people tell me that my voice reminds them of old country. You know,
Hmm.
it
Yeah.
has that tone to it that reminds them of a lot of 90s country artists. And of course, you never stop having people that you look up to. And so now I think my number one person that I look up to more than anything is Ashley McBride. I think
Hmm.
that she has truly transformed female country artists in a way that's turning it back to traditional country, but yet in a new way. It's strange
Hmm.
how she can do it, but she just is really blazing a trail for a lot of us. And so I look up to her a lot and really pay attention to how she writes songs and try to get in that niche that she's in to write.
I liked it too, and I could see. I was just thinking as you're saying that about Ashley McBride, about how she had the guitar story and everything with leaving the I guess the place she had worked at too at the time, Guitar Center, and then saying, "I'm gonna go do this on my own." She paved her own way out there. Hearing that story, which is still fascinating, amazingly out there, but at the same time, I could see an April N. Smith next to Ashley McBride at some kind of awards show someday.
That is a very high compliment. That
Well, I
would
can tell you
be dream
that.
come true for sure.
I can say I took that ride with you if and when that does
There you
occur out
go.
there for you. This album's great. It's called Enough. It's out there across all the digital platforms. We're going to break it down with a few tracks, but I want to play one right now on the show. Facebook, be good to me. This is approval here. April N. Smith here on the Backstage Pass. It's called One Two Step Away. You'll notice a slight pause, and then we'll get after the video. Again, presented by Toir Guitars and Bangtail Whiskey. And we'll play this one and have a word from Toir Guitars. A great lyric video. One Two Step Away. Here it is.
Night we met, you taught me how to two-step. And right then I knew that we were meant to be. We were only 1 or 2 steps from forever. When I found out you'd been stepping out on me. So now I'm one slow dance from putting you behind me. Or just stay away, finding someone new. Oh, it only takes 1 2-step to remind me that I'm still 1 2-step away from over you. Like every day, oh, I'll recall it all tomorrow. How it all fell apart when I let her cut in. But somewhere between the sawdust and sorrow, I wound up two-stepping by myself at 2 a.m. So now I'm 1 slow dance from putting you behind me. Or just stay away, finding someone new. Oh, it only takes 1 2-step to remind me that I'm still 1 2-step away from over you. They say that life's a dance, but ever since you left me. All I'm left with is these two left feet of mine. I can't spin and twirl with another guy against me. Still feel lower than a slow 3/4 time. So now I'm one slow dance from putting you behind me. Or just a walk, stay away, finding someone new. Oh, it only takes 1 2-step to remind me that I'm still 1 2-step away from over you. That I'm still 1 2-step away. 1 2-step away. Yes, I'm 1 2-step away from over you.
If you're looking for one of the most beautiful and playable custom acoustics on the planet, look no further than Ed Rice at Toir Guitars. Ed is a true artist, transforming exotic woods into magnificent, sweet-sounding instruments. Go to toirguitars.us, that's TOIRGUITARS.us, and contact Ed today.
And back here on the show with the great and talented and beautiful April N. Smith. The EP is called Enough, out there across all the digital platforms. You know, when you're singing a song like I did for so many times and then through your car and stuff like that and playing it and putting it on a playlist, in fact, the whole thing, let's just get down home country music. And if you're like me and you grew up on 90s like April and myself, that song didn't take long but a few seconds to start kind of moving your head back and forth and really kind of getting in a groove with that particular tune. How did that all come together? Because Randy was telling me you got a very interesting story on that title track.
I do actually. JB Patterson is my producer. He was JB in the Moonshine Band, the lead singer. And so he actually wrote that song for himself. And we were in the studio recording some stuff. And he said, I've got a song that I never really recorded and thought maybe you might be interested in listening to it. And I was like, sure. I mean, that's fine. So he sent it over and I called him. I was like, are you kidding me? Yeah, I want to do that. You got to be joking. I was like, we can make that work easily. And so we dove into it and just changed some lyrics here or there. And of course, JB put his spin on it like he always does. And one thing I told him was, I want this album to be country. Don't mess it up with all that pop stuff. I want it country. And so we did 1 2-step away with lots of steel and things that I just think really put a signature on it that people are missing and they like it. And so I was really pleased with the way it came out.
Yeah, you started with that steel. You mentioned that just that boom. It's like a shot in the stomach when you first hit that track, and you're like, okay, this is going to be good all the way through. That's what I loved about it.
Yeah.
It didn't take me long to go, wow, it's a great country song out there. Heart of Stone really caught my attention as the next one, which kind of was a good feel coming off of 1 2-step away. But then you go into Heart of Stone and kind of slow things down a little bit from a country ballad. Y'all did a great job on that one too.
That's absolutely my favorite. I don't really know what it is about it, but it's just, I got a message. We wrote that during COVID. We had been, shut down basically for a couple of weeks, and we were in the middle of recording this album when that happened. And Randy, my manager, messaged me and he said, I want you to write a song and I want it to say something about the note on the table. That's all I'm going to say. And I was like, okay. And I had been kicking around a melody in my head that he had played me a lick for. And so I was messing with that, trying to figure out what I wanted it to do. And I thought, I think that will work. And so I called the producer in Dripping Springs and we wrote that song via FaceTime back and forth. Wow. And it turned out to be my favorite. And I just think that there's so many people that can identify with that, and just that it just really tugs at your heartstrings. But also, I love to dance, and it's a waltz, and you just don't hear a lot of waltzes anymore. And so that was another thing that, I was pretty specific about, that I wanted it to have that tempo and time. So that would be something unique to the album.
Very beautiful song out there, Heart of Stone, which is track 5 on that EP, Enough, here with April N. Smith. And no, we hadn't had enough yet. We're going to talk about some more songs here, break down the album a little bit more and play that particular title track here in just a little bit. Let me ask you this. After making the transition, you mentioned singing from an early age till coming back to it now at this point in your life. What's been the best part of being a musician? What's been the most challenging?
The best part is just it's like coming home. I mean, it's always been home to me. Music is a part of my life. It fills voids that other things can't. And so when I was away from it for so long, I missed it. And it was just the best part was just it feels like home. And the most challenging part, I would say, is I do it all by myself. I go to the gigs by myself, load, unload gear. My musicians, they're carrying their own gear and things like that. And there's a lot of late nights and a lot of evenings that I'm on the road at 2:00 in the morning trying to stay awake because nobody goes with me. And so, and I don't really feel comfortable staying wherever it is that I'm playing that weekend because I still have kids at home. And so I feel like I need to come home. So it's challenging to try to juggle family life and then being out on the road by myself. It's a challenge, but it's worth every second of it, and I wouldn't trade it for the world.
I can't wait for those live shows again, October 16th and 17th. Irma's Double E Grocery. We'll have more on that as we get ready for our patio series out there at that great restaurant in Fry Deck, Texas. Appreciate all the support they give us. And of course, I was just there yesterday, and I had some beef tips and gravy, and you're gonna love the food out there. It was and some fried pickles, which are never good for you, but the salt is what I was craving, and they really hit home with a nice glass of iced tea. Of course, that's what I always say. You can get some whiskey out there, Bangtail Whiskey. I'll try to bring some and let some people sample it. Love that good food, and you're going to love that being out there. Can't wait to see you perform live acoustically out there October 16th and 17th with Irma's Double E Grocery, and here at the Backstage Pass, also Marathon Music Group over with the good friend Chuck Sweeney out there too. First one is May the 30th, Morgan Ashley. We're going to kick it off out there and be out there at Irma's Double E Grocery. Got to talk about 2 more tracks before we play Enough. 2 that stuck out. Again, everything stuck out to me, but 4 Shots. Let's start with that one too, because beautiful how when songs come together. What was kind of the inspiration behind that one?
I'm a tequila drinker. I have to own that.
Okay.
I don't like beer, and I get made fun of a lot because I don't drink beer, and I'm always the one that's pulling out a bottle of some sort of tequila. And since this actually all started, I had originally had a favorite, but now I don't know if you've ever tried number 1 tequila. If you've never tried it, it's really good.
You need to try that one. Okay.
You need to try that one. And I like whiskey too, and I've never tried Bangtail, but I want to. But I do like whiskey, but I'm a tequila drinker by choice. And like I said, when we would go out, to the lake to float the river, tube or whatever we were doing, everybody else would have their cooler of beer, and I'd just have my little flask of tequila. And they would make fun of me. And so I thought, you know what? I can't help the fact that you guys don't enjoy the finer things of life and appreciate them. So we decided we wanted to write something fun for summer. We were all, on lockdown, and it just kind of came to me that I wanted to write something like that. And so it came together really well. And again, we recorded the vocal to it in Dripping Springs at Audio Style Studio with Taylor Tatch, and then he took it from there, and we did some lyric stuff, and he put some new guitar licks on it, and it just fell together. So it's a good one for sure.
It is, and it definitely will keep you on to take a couple of those shots as you listen to it, no doubt. Hey, what's your favorite part of when you get to put your own personal touch on writing a song? What do you enjoy most?
Well, I think that my favorite part of the whole writing process is that being in a room with other songwriters, it is always amazing to me how I can sit and try a song over and over and over and try to think of a lyric, but then you get in a room with other people who are talented at writing music, and it is so inspiring to watch people throw ideas off of each other and, oh, well, you did it like this, but what if you did this key and this chord instead of this? And I don't play an instrument, and I love sitting in a circle with them and listening to how they can just change just one note, and it makes it sound so much different. So my favorite part of the songwriting process is when I get to sit in a circle with other musicians and other songwriters, and we get to share that experience of bouncing ideas off of each other, because it's great when you can sit and write a song by yourself, but when you can collaborate and get to that sweet spot of music, then nothing beats that.
We're going to get to the sweet spot of the title track off the EP called Enough. Here it is on the Backstage Pass, presented by JK Subaru of Southeast Texas, also Toir Guitars and Bangtail Whiskey. We're going to cue it up, and if you want to dance, feel free to dance if you're at home. Here it is.
She saw his headlights swerving up the drive. She's mad as hell, but thankfully he's alive. And as he stumbled in, she met him at the door. And he heard her whisper softly, I can't do this anymore. And as she packed her bags, he passed out on the floor. Leaving was the hardest thing, but she knew she wanted more. She said, I gave you all I had, but it wasn't enough. When the tears started falling, I knew I had to get tough. You spend every weekend hanging out with friends. No matter what I say, bottle always wins. You love whiskey, wine, and women more than you love me. After 15 years together, I can finally see. Walking out this door, I'm setting myself free. May not be enough for you, but I'm damn sure enough for me. She moved herself to the other side of town. She's building her a new life while he burns his to the ground. He promises to change if she comes home, but the truth is she needs this time to find her way alone. After years of second chances, she has nothing left to give. Mistakes became his choices. That's not how she wants to live. She said, I gave you all I had, but it wasn't enough. When my tears started falling, I knew I had to get tough. You spend every weekend hanging out with friends. No matter what I say, the bottle always wins. You love whiskey, wine, and women more than you love me. After 15 years together, I can finally see. Walking out this door, setting myself free. May not be enough for you, but I'm damn sure enough for me. May not be enough for you, but I'm damn sure enough for me.
The Bangtail pour is comprised of a sweet corn mash base. The front has a subtle sweetness and not too sharp. It has notes of a medium char or white oak for a smoky flavor in the middle, and the tail has a super smooth and warm finish.
And we're back here on the show with April N. Smith. In fact, I was getting ready to listen to 4 shots just because I had everything in queue right there. So that was one of the next videos to play here on the Backstage Pass with the YouTube links out there too. Go check her out, aprilinsmithmusic.com. And, of course, on YouTube, give her a subscribe there. We all like to be feel liked these days, and subscribe to the Backstage Pass YouTube channel while you're at it too out there at the same time. Love it. It was just a great way to set the tone for the record. Enough is out there across all the digital platforms. You can really feel the tension, I guess. Like you said, you're damn it, I've had enough. This is it.
Yep.
I'm damn sure I've had enough. Talk about this one and kind of the title track. And also, tell you what, you guys did a great job on the artwork for your album, the picture you took. I'm sure you have a lot of people to thank for that.
Yes, Russ Dignam is the photographer that does all of my artwork. He does all my shows. He comes and takes pictures. He's done parts of video clips that we've done, and he is fantastic with the photography. But Deb Clark is the one who did the lyric video for Enough, and then my sister Amy Kalk is the one who did the lyric video for 1 2 Step Away and also for 4 Shots. And so I have a team of people around me that do help with that because I am totally technologically challenged. I don't do well with that at all. So they definitely have pitched in and helped get some things done as far as lyric videos. And Russ is fantastic on the photography. He sees the vision. He knows what I'm looking for, and he captures it very well. He knew how to make me mad that day. And he said, remind me when it was all over, he said, remind me to never make you mad. And he said, because it was kind of scary taking your picture at some point. You were hot. And I was like, well, and not in a good way. So, but yeah, Enough, it always is going to have a special meaning to me. I wrote that on the heels of my divorce, and it's just, I said 1,000 times, I could not have written this album any sooner in my life because I didn't have enough life experience to write it. And I think that so many women have lost their voice. They get in a marriage and they become mom and they become the wife and they become, whatever their job is, and they forget who they really are as a person, and that they don't have to settle and they don't have to take a back seat to all those things, and that it's okay to choose happiness for yourself sometimes, even whenever it is the unpopular opinion. And so sometimes you have to do that. You have to stand on your own, and it's scary. And I hope that there's so many women that have listened to it. Every time I perform and I look out in the audience and I will see someone wiping tears, or they'll come up to me afterwards and they'll say, that's my life. You just sang my life. And I think that people need to hear that. People need to hear that it's okay, and that you have a voice, and it's okay to choose yourself. And so if I can reach one person and change somebody's life with this song, then I've done my job. And that was the whole purpose for writing it.
And then I'll tell you another track that I'm sure you guys are going to release this as a single, because this is just a fantastic song on there toward the bottom of the album, Saying Goodbye. And I hope I get this right, because the last part of that lyric is what really caught on to me. It was, being happily married, having a young daughter myself too, just love my family. So family's everything to me. But you said saying goodbye is easy. It's the staying goodbye that's hard. I hope I got that right on the correct lyric. But man, that came together, and it just, whatever y'all did, instrumentation, the production, the studio, the whole thing, y'all really brought that song to life, April. You really did. Well,
that song is actually going to be the next radio release. It's coming out on June 3rd. And I have wholeheartedly Monty Tips to thank for that. He is a singing partner of mine, one of my best friends. And we were talking over the album one day, and I was kind of pitching ideas of what we were talking about. And he said, there's just something that's been rolling around in my mind that I've been thinking about. And he said, I really think that you could make something with it. And he spit out, saying goodbye is easy, but the staying goodbye is what's hard. And so we took that into the studio, and JB and myself and Taylor Tatch sat down in that songwriting circle, and we wrote that, and it just came together very quickly. And again, JB and Taylor took the instrumentation, and Hayden McMullen is the steel and electric guitar player on the album, and he was in the studio with us, and he had input as far as, what we were going to do musically for it. And it really did. And we battled whether or not we were going to do One Two Step Away or Staying Goodbye first, which one we were going to release. And then we, One Two Step Away just won out by a hair, but we knew that eventually Staying Goodbye was going to be coming out. And so it's here June 3rd. We'll be excited.
Look at that. June 3rd, the summer concert series coming up. She's coming to Irma's WE Grocery, and it's a good next few months for April, the Backstage Pass, and a whole lot of cool stuff coming up out there. Well, we're going to wrap up with this rapid fire segment. Before I do that, Disappear was the last one I wanted to talk about on this record that's out there across all the digital platforms. Another one that could be released as a single. That's how good this whole thing is. I'm sure there's a good story behind that one.
When we were explaining when I was explaining what I was looking for, because I had written most of the lyric before I got to the studio by myself, and I was trying to convey that to JB, and he was sitting there tootling around on his guitar, and he just happened to hit the lick right there at the beginning that you hear, and he stopped and he looked at me and he said, he said, this one's going to be special. And I said, I agree. I think it will be, and it is far off of traditional country for sure, but it doesn't overpower the album being so off of country. But I have so many friends that was our Friday and Saturday thing. We'd go out on, just ride and, talk and catch up and things like that. And it's been so long in my music career for me to be gone every weekend. I don't see my friends much. And so when we get a night to do that, then we just want to go disappear down the road and catch up. And so that was what was on my mind whenever I wrote it. And so it is definitely special, and it was a great way to end the album. And so I'm very proud of it.
You should be. The whole album is fantastic. Again, Enough is out there across all the digital platforms. AprilNSmithmusic.com. Let's get to a couple of the rapid fire questions. I love to throw out there 2 or 3 here, and we'll definitely, of course, we're going to have you back on before the performance for the Irma's WE Grocery. Plenty of time till October, but people say that and it's coming fast. The way that May is almost here now.
Crazy. It is crazy.
Y'all got some great gigs before those particular shows coming up too. So definitely check the website and all the social media for show announcements out there too. Because I'm gonna try to get to one before the October.
Yes, please do.
WE Grocery show out there. All right. So during the downtime with the quarantine, musicians never rest on their laurels. That's one thing I learned in this industry of podcasting and interviewing some of the great artists out there. Did you kind of find yourself writing more? What was kind of the go-to hobby that otherwise had been normal times you wouldn't have got to? What did you guys enjoy doing most? Writing music, working on music, or the school stuff? What was kind of the hobby during the quarantine time?
Well, I did write quite a bit. We had just written a lot of the music, and so we finished the last 3 songs while we were in quarantine. But honestly, I spent a lot of time with my dogs. I know that may sound terrible, but I don't get to spend a lot of time with them and walking them. And my daughter, and I would walk together and just talk and, spend a lot of time doing that. Playing cards. I don't get to spend a lot of time with my kids because they work full-time jobs, and then I work 2 full-time jobs. And so it was just kind of nice to get to be at home, even now after a couple of weeks I was done, but but those were things that I'd never get to do. I mean, writing music and playing and things like that. And I wish I played an instrument. There definitely would have been more music done had I played an instrument, but I did reflect a lot on some of the songs and thought, okay, next time I want to do this differently, or maybe we should write this song. But it was kind of just nice to be home and do those things that I don't get to do on a daily basis. So
I like that. Did you find yourself cooking more, doing some takeout? What was the recipe of choice? Man,
I always cook, and that's my downfall. And so I love to cook. It's therapy for me. And we rarely, aside from when we're just super busy and I just don't have time, but I cook almost every night because it's just therapy to me when I get home. And my girls, most of the time, they'll eat whenever they get home from work. So, in fact, I'm fixing to go in there and cook a pork tenderloin and some Brussels sprouts and sweet potatoes for dinner. So, love to cook. And there was definitely a lot of that going on. And it was a good thing whenever I wasn't able to cook so much because it was telling, or my genes are at least telling on me that it was needing to stop.
Well, I'll tell you what, if I ever get up through Texarkana, I'm going to stop and try some of that April.
Okay, then.
We'll do that. So the pork tenderloin. Brussels sprouts are not my thing, but also sweet potatoes. I can dig some good sweet potatoes out there too. But I'm sure if you, it's probably good.
I was going to say, you got to try Brussels sprouts the way I make them before you judge them, because they're not.
Okay. All right. All right,
not
don't knock it
typical.
before you.
Yeah.
Not typical. Okay, knock
Yeah.
it before you try it.
Exactly.
All right, let me ask you this, G. And this may take some thought, but some people just get it in rapid fire. The title track or the title of the first song that you ever wrote, or if you don't remember the title, what was the song about?
Enough.
Really? Okay. Look at that.
Yeah.
Rapid fire here on the show here. All right, let me ask you this one. 90s country, of course, influenced by that heavily. We talked about in the show. I guess top 2 or 3, top 5 90s country songs. Where would you rank them?
Let's see. Independence Day.
Okay.
Let's see. Born to Fly, Sarah Evans. Patty Loveless, How Can I Help You Say Goodbye?
Okay.
That one is a heart strings for me. Garth Brooks, If Tomorrow Never Comes.
Good stuff.
Yeah, I think those
are all a great 90s country era that'll live on forever. In fact, we had Sarah Evans on the show last fall, and she talked about a lot of the stuff that she just says, man, I never thought my career would do what it did too. And honestly, I look at you the same way. I think your career is going to be very bright in the next 5-10 years. A lot of things to look forward to coming up. AprilNSmithmusic.com. Enough is the EP across all the digital platforms. Very nice to meet you. Very nice to set this up. Thanks for being on, and looking forward to meeting you out at the show this summer, and especially at the concert series at Irma's Double E Grocery. Thanks for being on.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me.
Good stuff out there. AprilNSmithmusic.com, and Enough is the EP across all the digital platforms. Give her a like. We're back, of course, coming up next week. Neil McCoy is going to drop by May the 4th. That's Star Wars Day. And then, of course, let's see, Cody Hansen, the drummer for Hinder, and a whole lot more coming up here on the Backstage Pass this week. Stay tuned for more, and to catch the interview tonight, Billy Gibbons out there on the Sports Guys Podcast.com or Facebook or out there at Spotify and SoundCloud. We'll talk to you guys soon. Take care.